Hejin walked slowly through the gardens of New Eoster, carrying her research tablet and collection bags. The morning air was cool and fresh, just the way she liked it. The sun was rising over the hills, making the dewdrops shine like tiny diamonds on the leaves. She had been studying the plants on this new world for 3 years now. Every day, she looked for new flowers and plants that could help the human colony. Some plants could make medicine, while others could give food. Hejin loved her job because she could help people by studying nature. Today was different. As she walked past the eastern garden wall, something caught her eye. There, in a small corner between 2 large rocks, grew a flower she had never seen before. It was beautiful, with 5 white petals that seemed to glow softly, even in the daylight. "This is strange," Hejin said to herself. She took out her tablet and started taking pictures. The flower looked like a star, and its center had a soft blue color that seemed to move and change as she watched it. She carefully took some measurements and wrote down everything she saw. The flower was unlike anything from Earth or any other plant they have found on New Eoster. But the most interesting thing happened when she touched one of its petals very gently. The flower gave off a tiny pulse of light, like a heartbeat. Hejin knew she needed to tell Dr. Jaiwan about this right away. Dr. Jaiwan was the colony's chief scientist, and she always got excited about new discoveries. Hejin took a small sample of the soil around the flower and marked the location on her map. When she reached the science building, she found Dr. Jaiwan in her office, looking at data on her large screen. The older scientist turned around when Hejin knocked on the door. "Dr. Jaiwan, I found something you need to see," Hejin said, trying to stay calm even though she was very excited. Dr. Jaiwan looked at the pictures and data on Hejin's tablet. Her eyes got wider with each swipe of the screen. "This is amazing," she said. "The flower seems to be responding to touch. But look at these readings. It's also reacting to the planet's magnetic field." They spent the next few hours running tests on the soil sample. The results showed something even more interesting. The soil had tiny particles that connected to the planet's natural energy field, like a network of microscopic wires. "We should study this more," Dr. Jaiwan said. "This flower might help us understand how life on New Eoster works. It could be the key to making our colony work better with the planet's natural systems." Hejin nodded, but she felt there was something more to this flower. As she looked at the pictures on her tablet again, she noticed how peaceful and beautiful it was. There was something almost magical about it, like it was trying to tell them a story. That evening, as the sun set over the colony, Hejin went back to check on the flower. In the darkness, it glowed more brightly, creating a small circle of soft light. She sat down nearby and watched it, feeling strangely peaceful. The flower's gentle glow reminded her of the nightlights her mother used to put in her room when she was small. What Hejin didn't know yet was that this simple discovery would change everything for the colony. The glowing flower was just the beginning of a much bigger story, one that would connect the dreams of the colonists with the ancient secrets of their new home. As she walked back to her quarters that night, Hejin thought about all the possibilities this discovery might bring. She didn't know it yet, but soon, the whole colony would be talking about the mysterious flowers and the strange dreams they brought with them. The spring season was coming to New Eoster, and with it, more changes than anyone could imagine. Hejin fell asleep that night thinking about the flower, not knowing that across the colony, others were about to experience something extraordinary in their dreams. Su-min lay in her bed, watching the stars through her room's ceiling window. She was 15 years old and had lived on New Eoster since she was 10. Tonight, something felt different in the air. The stars seemed brighter, and there was a gentle humming sound that she could feel more than hear. As she drifted off to sleep, colors began to dance behind her closed eyes. At first, they looked like the normal patterns people see when they close their eyes. But then the colors changed into something more. They became shapes, then pictures, then a whole new world. In her dream, Su-min stood in a vast garden. Flowers of all kinds grew everywhere, but they weren't like normal flowers. These flowers glowed with soft light, just like the one Hejin had found earlier that day. The lights pulsed and moved in patterns, like they were talking to each other. A soft voice spoke in her mind. It wasn't made of words, but somehow Su-min understood it. The flowers were showing her images of people who had lived on this planet long ago. They looked almost human, but their skin had a slight blue tint, and their eyes were larger. These ancient people had built beautiful cities that worked together with nature. Their buildings grew from the ground like trees, and their technology used the planet's natural energy. The flowers had been their way of storing knowledge and sharing stories. When Su-min woke up the next morning, she remembered every detail of her dream. Usually, dreams faded away quickly, but this one stayed clear in her mind. She got dressed and went to find her mother, who worked in the colony's communication center. "Mom," Su-min said as she entered the center, "I had a strange dream last night. It felt really real." Her mother, Mi-rae, looked up from her work screen. "What kind of dream?" she asked. As Su-min described her dream, Mi-rae's eyes got wider. She pressed a button on her desk that called Dr. Jae-won's office. "Doctor, I think you should hear this," she said. Soon, Su-min found herself sitting in Dr. Jae-won's office with Hejin. She told them about the glowing flowers in her dream and the ancient people who had lived on Nuiostra. Hejin showed her the pictures of the flowers she had found. "That's it," Su-min said excitedly. "That's exactly like the flowers in my dream, but there were thousands of them." Dr. Jae-won looked thoughtful. "The flower Hejin found seems to be connecting to something bigger," she said. The soil tests showed unusual patterns in the magnetic field around it. Maybe these patterns are affecting how people dream. That evening, news spread through the colony about Hejin's discovery and Su-min's dream. Some people were excited, while others were worried. Nobody had expected to find signs of an ancient civilization on Nuiostra, especially not through dreams. Su-min sat in the colony's garden that night, looking at Hejin's flower. Its gentle glow seemed to pulse in time with her breathing. She felt peaceful watching it, like she was connecting to something ancient and wise. "What else can you show us?" she whispered to the flower. As if in response, the flower's glow brightened slightly. That night, as people across the colony went to sleep, something changed in the air. The planet's magnetic field hummed with energy, and the single glowing flower Hejin had found began to spread its light to other plants nearby. More dreams were coming, and with them, more understanding of their new home's amazing history. Su-min fell asleep easily, eager to learn more about the ancient people and their connection to the flowers. She didn't know it yet, but her special connection to these dreams would help the whole colony understand their new home better. Spring arrived on Nuiostra with gentle warmth and soft breezes. The colony's administrator, Ta-young, sat in his office reviewing the morning reports. His screen showed an unusual number of dream reports from colonists. More and more people were experiencing vivid dreams about the ancient civilization. Ta-young called for a meeting with Dr. Jae-won and the colony's medical team. They gathered in the main conference room, where screens showed data from the colony's sleep monitoring system. The patterns were unlike anything they had seen before. "Look at these readings," Dr. Jae-won said, pointing to the colorful waves on the screen. "When people dream about the ancient civilization, their brain patterns sync with the planet's magnetic field. It's as if the planet itself is sharing memories with us." The medical team had noticed that people woke up from these dreams feeling refreshed and calm, not tired like after normal dreams. Even more interesting, many dreamed about the same things: the ancient people, their cities, and their way of life. In the colony's garden, Hejin's discovery had spread. The single glowing flower now had many friends. Small patches of luminescent flowers bloomed everywhere, creating pools of soft light. Each night, more colonists reported dreams connected to these beautiful plants. Su-min had become something of a guide for others experiencing the dreams. She sat with groups in the garden, helping them understand what they saw when they slept. "The flowers don't just show us the past," she explained. They show us how to live better on this planet. One evening, Taeyang decided to sleep near the garden himself. He had been cautious about the dreams, worried about their effect on the colony. But as he lay down on a soft bench near the glowing flowers, he felt strangely at peace. That night, Taeyang dreamed of the ancient civilization's council meetings. He saw how they made decisions by listening to both their people and their planet. They had built their society around the idea that their world was alive and worthy of respect. When he woke up, Taeyang understood something important. The dreams weren't just stories about the past. They were lessons for the future. He called an emergency meeting with all the colony's department heads. "These dreams are a gift," he told them. "The ancient people found a way to live here without harming the planet. They left us their knowledge through these flowers. We should learn from them." Dr. Jaiwan shared her latest findings at the meeting. The planet's magnetic field grew stronger as spring progressed. More flowers bloomed each day, and their glow seemed to pulse in harmony with the planet's natural rhythms. "Something bigger is happening," she said. "It's like the whole planet is waking up from a long sleep, and it's inviting us to understand it better." The colony began to change. Engineers studied the dream visions of ancient buildings and found ways to make their own structures work better with nature. Farmers learned about plants that could grow together in harmony, just as the ancient people had grown them. As the days passed, more colonists experienced the dreams. Each person saw different things, but all the dreams shared the same peaceful feeling. It was as if the ancient civilization had found a way to reach across time and teach their descendants how to live in harmony with their new home. That night, as the colony slept, the flowers glowed brighter than ever before. The planet's magnetic field hummed with energy, carrying more dreams to the sleeping colonists. New Eoster was truly awakening, and its human inhabitants were beginning to understand their place in its story. Dr. Jaiwan worked late in her laboratory, studying the glowing flowers under special equipment. She had called Du-hee, the colony's dream research specialist, to help understand the connection between the flowers and the dreams. He-jin sat with them, taking careful notes about everything they discovered. "These flowers are not working alone," Du-hee said, looking at the scanner results. "See these thin threads under the soil? They connect all the flowers together, like a giant web." He-jin moved closer to look at the screen. The scanner showed thousands of tiny threads spreading out from each flower, connecting to others far away. These threads glowed with the same soft light as the flowers above them. "It's like a natural computer network," Dr. Jaiwan said. "The ancient people must have found a way to store their memories in these underground connections. The flowers are like screens that show us what's stored in the network." Du-hee had brought special equipment to measure brain activity. She asked several colonists to sleep near the flowers while wearing small sensors on their heads. The results surprised everyone. When people dream near the flowers, their brain patterns match the energy patterns in the underground network, Du-hee explained. "It's as if the flowers are teaching our brains to speak their language while we sleep." That evening, they made an even more amazing discovery. He-jin was checking on some new flowers when she noticed something strange in the soil. She called Dr. Jaiwan and Du-hee to come look. Under the ground, they found an old piece of technology. It was shaped like a seed but made of a material they had never seen before. When they brought it to the lab, they found it was still working after all these years. "This must be how the ancient people connected with the network," Dr. Jaiwan said. "They created these seed-like devices to help the flowers store and share memories." The team worked through the night, studying the ancient device. They learned that the underground network was actually much bigger than they had thought. It spread under the whole planet, connecting all living things in a vast system of shared knowledge. Su-min visited the lab the next morning. When she saw the ancient device, her eyes got wide. "I saw this in my dreams," she said. "The ancient people called it a memory seed. They planted these everywhere to help the planet remember their stories." Dr. Jaiwan carefully connected their computers to the memory seed. Strange symbols appeared on their screens, then changed into pictures they could understand. They saw images of the ancient civilization, their cities, and how they lived in harmony with the planet. "This is incredible," He-Jin said. "The ancient people found a way to save their whole history in the planet's natural systems. The flowers aren't just showing us random dreams, they're sharing real memories." Doohy studied the brain scan results from more colonists. "The dreams are not hurting anyone," she reported. "In fact, people who have these dreams show better sleep patterns and feel more connected to our new home." As night fell, the team looked out at the colony's gardens. The glowing flowers seemed brighter now, as if they knew their secret had been discovered. All across the colony, more flowers bloomed, each one connected to the vast network of memories beneath the surface. That night, as colonists slept peacefully in their beds, the ancient memory network continued its work, sharing its wisdom through dreams. The connection between past and present grew stronger, and the future of the colony began to take a new shape. Su-min sat in the garden near the glowing flowers, writing in her diary about the dreams she had seen. Each night, the ancient civilization showed her more of their story. Tonight's dream had been the most important one yet. In her dream, she had seen the last days of the ancient people. They knew their time was ending, but they had worked hard to leave something behind for those who would come after them. The memory seeds and the flower network were their final gift to the future. The next morning, Su-min went to find Dr. Jai-won and He-Jin in their laboratory. Her eyes were bright with excitement as she shared what she had learned. "The ancient people didn't just disappear," she explained. "They changed themselves to become part of the planet's life force." Dr. Jai-won listened carefully as Su-min described how the ancient civilization had faced a difficult choice. Their sun was changing, and they knew they couldn't survive in their current form. Instead of trying to leave their world, they chose to preserve their knowledge and merge their consciousness with the planet itself. He-Jin looked at the latest readings from the memory seeds. "That explains why the dreams feel so real," she said. "We're not just seeing recordings. We're connecting with the actual memories of the ancient people, stored in the planet's living systems." The team called Tai-young to share their discovery. The colony administrator sat quietly as they explained what they had learned. The ancient civilization had spent their final years creating a vast living library, using the planet's natural systems to store everything they knew. "They left us more than just their memories," Su-min said. "They left us instructions for how to live here without harming the planet. Every flower that blooms is like opening a new chapter in their guidebook." That evening, Dr. Jai-won organized a meeting in the colony's main hall. Everyone gathered to hear about what they had discovered. The walls were decorated with pictures of the glowing flowers and diagrams of the underground network. The ancient people knew others would come here someday, Dr. Jai-won explained to the crowd. "They prepared everything to teach us what they learned about living in harmony with this world. The dreams are their way of sharing their knowledge gradually, so we can understand it properly." The colonists listened with wonder as she described how the ancient civilization had developed technology that worked with nature instead of against it. They had built cities that grew like gardens and machines that ran on the planet's natural energy. After the meeting, people walked through the gardens, looking at the glowing flowers with new understanding. These weren't just pretty plants. They were teachers, sharing the wisdom of an ancient race that had chosen to preserve their knowledge in the most beautiful way possible. That night, more flowers bloomed across the colony. Their soft light seemed to pulse with purpose, like gentle heartbeats in the darkness. The underground network hummed with activity, sharing its ancient wisdom with anyone who was ready to learn. Su-min stood at her window, watching the garden glow in the night. She understood now that she and the other colonists were part of something much bigger than themselves. They were the inheritors of a precious gift, the collected wisdom of an entire civilization, preserved in the living heart of their new home. Doohy sat in her medical office, reviewing reports from colonists about their dream experiences. While most people found the dreams peaceful and enlightening, some were having difficulty adjusting to this new way of learning. The dream researcher knew they needed to find a balance between connecting with the planet's memories and maintaining normal daily life. She called Dr. Jaiwan to discuss her concerns. Some colonists are spending too much time sleeping, hoping to learn more from the dreams, Doohy explained. Others find it hard to focus on their work because they keep thinking about what they saw in their dreams. Dr. Jaiwan understood the problem. The ancient civilization's memories were fascinating, but the colonies still needed to function. They needed to find a way to manage these dream connections without disrupting their community's daily operations. Together, they organized a special meeting with Ta Young and the colony's medical team. The administrator listened carefully as Doohy presented her findings. "We need to create guidelines," she suggested. "The dreams are important, but we must help people maintain a healthy balance." Dr. Jaiwan shared what they had learned from studying the memory seeds. "The ancient people designed this system to work gradually," she explained. "They didn't intend for us to learn everything at once. The flowers release memories in a careful pattern that follows the seasons." Hajin, who had been monitoring the garden, added her observations. "The flowers seem to respond to people's needs," she said. "When someone spends too much time near them, the glow actually becomes dimmer, as if the plants are encouraging them to take a break." Tai Young decided to implement new colony-wide guidelines. People would take turns spending time in the dream gardens, following a careful schedule. This way, everyone could learn from the ancient memories while still maintaining their regular duties. Doohy worked with her team to create special relaxation areas where people could process what they learned in their dreams. These quiet rooms had soft lights and comfortable chairs where colonists could write about their experiences or talk with others about what they had learned. As the new system took effect, the colony found its rhythm again. People learned to balance their daily work with the special time they spent connecting with the planet's memories. The dreams became a natural part of colony life, like going to school or reading books. Su Min helped by teaching others how to understand their dreams better. She showed them how to recognize the different types of memories the flowers shared. "Some dreams teach us about technology," she explained. "Others show us about nature or how to live together as a community." One evening, as Doohy finished her reports, she noticed something interesting in the medical readings. People who followed the new guidelines showed improved mental health and better sleep patterns. The balanced approach was working better than constant exposure to the dreams. Dr. Jaiwan and her team continued studying the memory network, learning more about how it worked. They discovered that the ancient civilization had designed the system to adapt to its users, providing exactly what each person or community needed to learn and grow. As night fell over the colony, the flowers glowed with their usual gentle light. But now, thanks to the new guidelines, their glow seemed more organized, more purposeful. The dreams still came, sharing their ancient wisdom, but in a way that helped the colony thrive rather than disrupting it. The research team gathered in Dr. Jiwan's laboratory early one morning. After weeks of studying the dream patterns and memory network, they had made an important discovery. The dreams were not random at all. They followed a careful plan, teaching the colonists exactly what they needed to know about living on Nuiostra. Dr. Jaiwan showed everyone the latest data on her screen. "Look at how the dreams change with the seasons," she said. "In spring, people learn about planting and growing. In summer, they learn about energy and building." The ancient people created a complete teaching system. The Jinn had been working with the colony's farmers. The dream teachings had shown them new ways to grow food that worked perfectly with the planet's natural cycles. "The plants grow better when we follow the ancient methods," she explained. "We use less water, and the soil stays healthy." The colony's engineers were learning too. Through their dreams, they saw how the ancient civilization had built machines that worked with nature instead of against it. They began to redesign their equipment to use the planet's natural energy flows, just as the ancient people had done. Doohy noticed that people were sleeping better than ever before. "The dreams don't just teach us facts," she said. "They help us feel more connected to our new home. People wake up feeling peaceful and happy." Su-min spent her afternoons in the garden, writing down everything she learned from her dreams. She saw how the ancient people had lived in beautiful cities that looked like they had grown from the ground. Their buildings had shapes that matched the natural flow of wind and light. Tae-young called a meeting to share the good news with everyone. The colony was using less energy and producing more food than ever before. The new methods they learned from the dreams were making life better for everyone. The ancient people knew what they were doing, he told the colonists. They left us these memories to help us build a better future. We just needed to learn how to listen. In the evenings, families would gather in the gardens to watch the glowing flowers. Parents told their children about the dreams they had, and children shared what they learned in their own dreams. The whole colony was learning together, like one big family. The research team made another exciting discovery. The memory network was responding to their progress. As the colony learned to live more in harmony with the planet, new types of flowers began to bloom. Each new flower brought different memories and teachings. It's like the planet trusts us more now, Hejin said as she studied the new blooms. The more we show we can live in balance with nature, the more the ancient civilization shares with us. Dr. Jaiwon agreed. She had noticed that the memory seeds were activating in new ways, revealing deeper layers of knowledge. The ancient people had left them much more than they first thought. There were secrets about art, music, and ways of thinking that could make life richer and more beautiful. As the sun set over New Eoster that evening, the colony felt different than it had just a few months ago. The buildings seemed to fit better with the landscape. The gardens were more alive with color and life. Even the air felt cleaner and fresher. The glowing flowers spread their soft light through the darkness, a reminder of the ancient wisdom that was helping them build a better future. The dreams would keep coming, teaching them how to live in perfect harmony with their new home. 1 year had passed since Hojin first discovered the glowing flower. New Eoster's spring had returned, and the colony had changed in wonderful ways. The buildings now curved gracefully with the landscape, and gardens filled with glowing flowers could be found everywhere. Tae-young stood at the window of his office, looking out at the transformed colony. The old metal buildings were slowly being replaced by new ones that used the ancient civilization's designs. These new structures worked with the wind and sun to create their own energy, just as the ancient people had taught them through their dreams. Dr. Jaiwon's research team had made the most amazing discovery yet. The colony's children born on New Eoster could understand the planet's signals even when they were awake. Little ones would often point to flowers just before they started glowing, as if they could hear the planet speaking to them. The ancient people were right, Dr. Jaiwon told her team. If we listen carefully and live gently on this world, it shares more and more of its secrets with us. We are becoming part of its story, just as they did. Hejin had created a special garden where all the different types of glowing flowers grew together. She called it the Memory Garden, and it became a favorite place for colonists to gather and share their dream stories. The flowers there glowed with all different colors, creating beautiful patterns in the evening air. Su-min, now a year older and wiser, had become a teacher for the colony's children. She helped them understand their dreams and showed them how to learn from the ancient memories. The children especially loved hearing about how the ancient people had played games and made music with the planet's natural rhythms. The colony decided to celebrate their first festival of Eostre, honoring both their Earth heritage and their new home's wisdom. They chose the day when the first flower had been discovered, marking it as the beginning of their new understanding. Do-hee noticed something special about the festival day. The dreams that night were clearer than ever before, she reported. It was as if the ancient civilization was celebrating with us, sharing their happiest memories of life on this world. During the festival, colonists gathered in the memory garden. They shared food grown from seeds shown to them in dreams, and played music on instruments designed to match the planet's natural harmonies. The glowing flowers seemed to dance with joy, their lights moving in time with the music. Even the colony scientists had learned to balance their careful research with the planet's more magical ways. They found that their best discoveries came when they combined their modern tools with the ancient civilization's gentle approach to learning nature's secrets. Tai Young gave a speech at the festival's end. "A year ago, we thought we were alone on this world," he said. "Now we know we are part of a great story that began long before us. The ancient people trusted us with their memories, and we will honor that trust by building a future that brings together the best of their wisdom and ours." As night fell on the festival, the colonists watched new flowers bloom under the stars. The dream network had grown stronger over the year, spreading far beyond the colony's walls. Somewhere deep in the planet's living memory, the ancient people's consciousness continued to guide and teach, helping their human successors learn the delicate dance of living in harmony with their world. The glowing flowers of New Eoster would continue to bloom each spring, bringing new dreams and new understanding. The story of two civilizations, separated by time but united in their love for this beautiful world, would go on, growing and changing like the endless cycle of the seasons.